Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Friday, June 26, 2015, our 20th season. 3 weeks into our 20th season at Galletta's Greenhouse Backyard Speedway. George Sweeting, Keith Raymond, Melissa Stevens, Kevin Galletta, Adam Lytle, Matt Stevens, Eric Woolworth, and Chris Stevens. We'll start off the first 35 lapper. I have to apologize today. We were unable to get camera people, so the cameras are stationary, and we did our very best to put the two angles together to make a good race video, as good as we can with only two stationary cameras. Wesley James Troger Stevens drops the green, and Keith Raymond blows by his co-worker George Sweeting for the lead. Good guys, barbershop duo in first and second right now. Keith is pulling away, George in second, Kevin Galletta in third. The top 3 point positions on the track. Remember, every lap you get 1 bonus point for leading and a half bonus point for second and third place on top of the finishing order where points are tallied per position. So the highest scoring drivers will be in the top 3 for most of the race. Your goal is to get there. Even if you can't win, get in the top 3. It's where you make the most points. Chris Stevens making a move. He has passed Kevin Galletta, his cousin, for third place, but he's got a lot of room to work with here. The 54 a little off the mark right now. Kevin's struggling in it. Oh, George Sweeting gets caught. Now Chris is after Keith Raymond. Keith in the Galletta's Greenhouse number 6 today because the 88 had a blown motor. From last week's video, you can watch it. It blew as he was leading. And here he is leading again. Chris trying to reel him in. Matt Stevens trying to work on Kevin. Ooh, looked like George Sweeting got a little sideways there. Looks like he spun out. And he did. The caution is out. Or no, I'm not sure if the caution was out because of George there, but the caution was out. I'm not quite sure what it was. I believe it was George. Or was it Adam Lytle? There was a replay of George's spin just out of camera view down there in turn 4. Restart. Keith Raymond, Chris Stevens, and Kevin Galletta, top 3. Tower angle. Matt Stevens blows underneath. Kevin Galletta gets him on the restart. Kevin's been having a lot of trouble on restarts this year. He's been losing a lot of positions on the restarts. Now Matt is hounding Chris. Once again, Keith Raymond in search of his first feature win. He's always been up front, but something unfortunate seems to happen midway through the race or even closer to the end than that. Trying to work with the camera angles here for everyone. Trying to get a good view here. Matt Stevens tries to get underneath both Chris and Keith, but pulls back into third. Oh, and George Sweeting almost spins out the same way he did on the prior caution, but keeps control. He looks like he's discouraged as he's driving very slow right now. Keith, Chris, and Matt rounding turn 1. Brian Galletta trying to hunt down his brother Kevin. The big monstrosity of a Tank 42 is probably the reason why Brian is in the back. It's a big cart. It's really overweight, and he's got a nice motor on that cart. Brian is a very experienced driver. The reason he's back there, that car is heavy. Eric Woolworth, who won the first feature last year, is second to last. Well, oh, looks like Adam Lytle got him right there. Ooh, and as you see there, Lytle snuck on the outside of Woolworth. Woolworth had to pull out. He almost lost control there, but kept it underneath him. Matt there with his patented slingshot in the back turn. You can see it good there. That is the master of the slingshot out of both turns. He scored many a win by slingshotting his opponents. And if you can guard that slingshot move, you can probably hold him off. However, he'll catch you sleeping on the outside too, so don't worry only about the inside. Eric Woolworth, feature winner from last week, he is falling way behind. Matt trying to trap his brother Chris, who's won the first 2 weeks. He won the opener and he won one of the Twin-35s last week. He is trying to prevent his brother from winning all first 3 weeks of the season. The leaders are catching up with George Sweeting, who is really off the pace. Like I said, I think he's a little bit discouraged because he's much faster than that, but he's falling way behind. Here we go. They're catching George. Keith has to be a little nervous here. Matt and Chris are very experienced in traffic, and Keith is only in his second year, hasn't had to deal with a lot of traffic yet. It's always tricky. Traffic can change the outcome of a race, and there it was right there. Keith got passed by both Chris and Matt there. They didn't quite even catch George yet. But he slipped up just a little, and that's all you need. These races are so close. And now Matt gets Chris underneath. Matt uses George Sweeting and Wes Stevens didn't throw one passing flag at all. Chris is pretty upset about it. He threw a fist up at West because there was no passing flag for anybody there. And George Sweeting got caught in the middle of it. The leaders changed 2 times, 3 times. Went from Keith to Chris to Matt in a second because of 1 lap car, no lap flag. Lap flag means you're supposed to give room to the leaders. It could be high, it could be low, just give them room. And no room was given there, and Matt made work of them. Matt now pulling away a little bit. Chris is hounding him still. Matt's in a pretty heavy car himself. The Crusher.com Glow's Greenhouse number 74. Former racing cart. One of the only racing carts we've had adapted for Galletta's racing. Most of the other carts are yard carts adapted or straight up built from scratch Galletta carts. Remember, they're single wheel drive, that's why we turn the other way. And without major landscaping, Galletta's is a little bit downhill, and the single wheel drive cars work much better turning clockwise instead of counterclockwise, the traditional route that most racers take. Field has spaced out a little bit. Chris is still hounding Matt, trying to show him a wheel every once in a while. He's staying with him, trying to give his bumper a little tap just to let him know he's there, but those two are gone. Keith Raymond has fallen off the pace. Adam Lytle is now working on Keith. It's discouraging to have the lead and then lose it, so Keith has to make sure he holds off Lytle. Those two are in. Oh wow, Chris is really close with Matt there. The points are Chris is in the lead. Matt second, and third place is between Keith Raymond and Adam Lytle. So those two are battling for third place in the points. Eric Woolworth's up there as well. Excuse me, I forgot about him. He was in the back there. I almost forgot about him. Ooh, and you see there in turn 4, Woolworth got really high and digging up some dirt. Lap traffic again. Chris wants to get revenge here. Once again, Wesley is sat on that passing flag. He is not touching it. Matt is trying to get underneath Chris. Oh, they almost collide there. They're battling for the same spot on the track. Chris had to pull out. Now Matt looking for a way around. Once again, no passing flag in sight, so the lap cars. Chris underneath, he almost got Matt again. Matt is dive bombs low and looks like he's going to get George Sweeting. Chris is stuck behind Brian Galletta. Matt barely survives there. That was a great battle, but no passing flag at all. Now Matt is able to get by Chris as with only a lap to go there. White flag. And once Matt breaks, there's no way he can catch him now. Matt looks like he's got this wrapped up. There, he's gone now. Matt Stevens with the win. Chris Stevens. Whoa, whoa, and in the back there, Adam Lytle. Spins out. Look out. Kevin doesn't know it's still the checkered flag. Adam gets him at the stripe. Kevin could have got that, I think. So Matt Stevens, Chris Stevens, Keith Raymond, Eric Woolworth. Eric snuck by Adam and Kevin because they got together on the last lap. Brian Galletta, George Sweeting, and Melissa Stevens, who only pulled a few laps and pitted. Races for points. Doesn't... I think probably if she starts up in the front, she might go for it, but she is racing for points right now. Matt Stevens again. Puts the 74 in victory lane, so thus far he's the only driver to put that car in victory lane at Gladys. It's won races at Oswego Kartway, and I believe that he used to race at the Oswego Speedway as well. We don't know the driver who ran it at Oswego, though. Oswego Asphalt, that is. I mean, raced both the Oswego Speedway tracks. Bonus coverage here. Second 35 lapper. George Sweeting. Again on the pole. Brian Galletta, Kevin Galletta, Adam Lytle, Keith Raymond, Eric Woolworth, Chris Stevens, Matt Stevens, and Melissa Stevens is not starting but gets credited. Your race 1 feature, you're credited with both. George now gets a second shot at trying to hold everyone off. Ooh, Brian Galletta tries to get underneath him in the 42. A former Platinum Galletta Brothers design. Ooh, wow, they're all bottled up in the back there, side by side by side. Good racing here. Eric Woolworth trying to get by Matt Stevens, trying to prevent Matt from getting back in front of him. Does so, Matt in last. We inverted the finish of the last race, minus the people that have won are always in the back. We want to give people who never won the best possible chance of getting a win. We had to make it a rule when winners would come in last place in the first feature and then start on the pole in the second. It wasn't very fair. Sometimes someone may have done it on purpose. We're not sure, but this race is a little more boxed in, a little more even here. Chris and Matt opted into different cars. Everyone else is, I believe, in the same car, and it looks like somebody spun there. Yes, it was Keith Raymond, the Gladys Greenhouse number 6. Got a little out of shape and 4, and spun out right outside. You can see him up there, right outside of the back turn camera angle. George and Brian still first and second. These are Bridge and Stratton flatheads. They start as stock 5 horsepowers. They all have race cams, shaved heads. They all generate much more than 5 horsepower now. We're not exactly sure how much they're geared to help the heavier guys. There's a few heavier guys out there, including leader George Sweeting. Has a power gear, which helps him get up to speed. And the racing's very close, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. Since 2010, we've had so many different winners since instituting a new gearing and cam rule, where heavier drivers are allowed a little extra horsepower, and it works really great. Who is that ducking down low? It looks like Chris Stevens. Yes, Chris Stevens trying to get a handful of people on the opening lap of the restart. He's down there low. Oh, look at Brian Galletta, almost took out Adam Lytle. A little out of control in that 42. Brian is taking up the track for sure. The brothers, Kevin and Brian Galletta, fighting for second place. And caution. Caution is out. Not sure what happened. Somebody spun in that back turn or somewhere out of camera view. Our usual camerawoman, Rumnapat O. Stevens, is babysitting today. Babysitting Faith Murray. So our cameras have to be stationary once again. Takes a little more time to edit them together when they're stationary. As we have to take both cameras, put them together, try to cut out the extended caution brakes. Galletta's, you can call a timeout for repair. It'll cost you 5 points. And you only have a certain amount of them, 3 per season. You roll over for the Classic, you get 1 for the Classic. So you could have them. If you didn't use any of them, you'd have 4 in the Classic, a regular driver. Chris Stevens once again down low, trying to get everyone. Matt Stevens trying to follow him. Chris Stevens in the 0 today. Fast car that usually goes unused, as all the Galletta's backups are. Every team Galletta's Kart can win any given night. You put an experienced driver behind the wheel, and they can win. Chris and Matt like to get in them sometimes when everyone says, oh, your cars are faster, guys. Not really. We'll hop into one of the backups and do very well in them, too. If not win, top 3. Every kart at the track has won recent races. There's a new page up on the website that shows that each kart in the fleet and tags for each race they've won. Every kart here has won features. I don't think George's kart has won. It's a relatively new kart, firmly owned by Dave Spanfelder, and it's only been in a handful of races, so that one just doesn't have a lot of races at the track. Ooh, Chris again down low, trying to get George Sweeting. Kevin Galletta trying to follow. Matt Stevens trying to follow the 2 of them. It's the blind spot on the track, turn 2, and most of the back straight is blind right now. Chris Stevens almost getting George. It's close. Oh no! The fires of hell are after Adam's butt! Oh, no, it's just the motor on fire. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought the Hellhounds were after Adam Lytle, but it was a flip. And a power bomb or a tombstone pile driver or something to Adam. And the motor's still on fire. Someone has to get to that, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Stevens there trying to throw some dirt on it. It's a very small fire, but you don't want to mess around with that. You want to get it out. The Galletta's karts are fueled by gasoline. We can make a 200 lap classic. Our annual classic goes 200 laps, and these karts can make it 200 laps if you conserve a little bit and don't hot rod it for all 200 laps. You can make it 200 for sure. And that much makes it interesting. Let's try to get another view of this rack if we can. Right now, West Stevens area is finally gets a little water over to it. We should have a fire extinguisher. Fires are rare here at Galletta's. We've had a couple of them. Usually when a car flips, a little gas spills onto the very hot carb, and a little fire goes, and it's nothing really bad. Everyone ran from it like it was going to be a bomb blowing up, but no, it's just a little fire. Just need to be a little water, and a fire extinguisher should be on hand just to make sure. Let's try to get a second view of that. Zoom in on it. Adam Lytle, Brian Galletta, and it looked like Eric Woolworth got caught in it. Slow-mo. Adam gets pile drivered by his car at first. The hot motor set off the gas, but the gas, once the gas burned off, it was a little melted part there on the motor.
Fuck, that was a bad wreck.
And Eric Woolworth has had enough. He's gotten caught in two weird wrecks in the past 2 years. And he takes the back turn camera home. That's a helmet cam that he had stationary. Matt Stevens' helmet cam is out of commission. And I am so sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. From here on out, this is all bonus footage because the camera slipped down on the tripod. The tripod wasn't secure enough, and it slipped. So our vision here is very impaired. This is all just bonus footage right here. That flip and fire had everyone shaken up a little bit. Lytle obviously got shaken up. I think he was diagnosed with a light concussion. He was dropped on his head. Sweeting, Chris, Matt, Brian Galletta's kart. The drive tire got punished. They obviously hooked wheels somewhere along there. It's hard to see. But Lytle and Galletta, Brian Galletta, hooked tires, and Lytle got, both of them got some abuse because Brian got spun into the wall, the tire wall, at the finish line, and his drive tire got beat up. That thing is I think the rim is destroyed. And Lytle's car actually didn't get too damaged other than the flame, but he himself got a little shook up. Diagnosed with a concussion after the race. A slight concussion. And Eric Woolworth just happened to, unfortunately, get caught in it. And he needed a ride, so he left. Sweeting holding off Matt and Chris. Kevin Galletta and Keith Raymond trying to get up there. Once again, our vision of this race is impaired, so stick with us. We don't have camera people. It's the best we got right now. The delay also will mean this will be the first race that finishes at dark. The Galletta's this year in 2015, they were all finished well before dark the first 2 weekends. I know some people stray away from Galletta's saying, oh, they never get done on time and they're out late. Not. Usually only if a lot of timeouts are taken or a lot of wrecks, a few rookies making wrecks. These guys are all experienced. George Sweeting is a rookie, but the rest of them are all vets. So usually the vets don't cause it. That was an anomaly wreck there, the one with Lytle and and Kevin, or Brian, excuse me. George Sweeting has improved leaps and bounds as he is holding firm to the lead right here. Chris and Matt cannot get him. Kevin and Keith Raymond in pursuit as well. George very well might look like he could hold on for his first feature win here. This is only his, I believe, third race. I don't think he's missed a race yet this season. Matt keeps trying to get underneath Chris and George, and Kevin had him on that particular lap, at least in the turn. Kevin again had him in that turn. Race is close here. Oh, it looks like George finally slipped up on that lap because Chris is gone now. I don't know what happened. George lost ground. He got sideways or something. And Chris got underneath or went around George. I think if I remember right, Matt tried to get under him and George slipped low. And that cleared up the top groove for Chris. It really sucks that we don't have a camera person out there today. Chris is gone now in the 0. Kevin Galletta and Matt Stevens in pursuit. Keith Raymond and George fell way off the pace. It looks like George, if he isn't in the lead, he gets discouraged because he's setting a much slower pace in the back than he does in the front. In the front, he's up to par. He's holding us off. If you're up to a good speed, it's hard to get a pass up there. So that means he's falling off the pace quite a bit. Track a little tiny bit bumpy, but it's been pretty good. First three weeks, it's been pretty good here. Caution is out. Two things that the leaders don't like to see are cautions and traffic. But when you're in second or third or fourth or whatever, you love to see cautions in second because it gets to the pack all line back up and gives you another shot at a pass. You have to reel in extra space. And under traffic, especially if traffic's taking up the whole track, anyone has a shot in traffic. You either luck out or you predict where you're going or whatever. Sometimes you can predict, sometimes you can't. Because every driver has a mind of their own and you don't know. Like we saw at the end of the first feature. That was a hectic one. Yes, Chris and Matt were side by side, tire by tire, battling it out. And then Matt was able to squeeze underneath and take the win. That was the whole difference of the race there. Which upset Chris because there was no passing flag out. So the leaders took up the entire track. Green is resumed. Chris Stevens, Matt trying to get underneath Galletta. Here at Galletta's, we have a lot of cousins racing, cousins and brothers, but we're not family exclusive. I mean, you come out here and you drive good, and we want you out here racing. We know a lot of pay tracks can bring in 70 to 100 people on a given week. It's fine and dandy if you want to spend a few grand and race for a few minutes. We race for a good hour or more. As you can see, our videos are usually about in the half-hour range. You get a half-hour racing and once a weekend for pocket change. I mean, we're racing for gas and part money. We're not This track is a free track. We race. We put together we have rental cars, and we have each driver has their own cart, puts in a little bit, and it's kind of like a fund for gas and parts. And that's what this whole track runs off of. Matt Stevens works tirelessly on the carts and the track. Chris Stevens brings you the videos, the website, the points. And all the drivers out there have fun every weekend. So anytime you guys out there in YouTube land are in Oswego on a summer weekend, we race into the fall too, but June through usually September, sometimes into October, depends how the traffic and the driver attendance is. Some years we have people wanting to race all the way to Thanksgiving, and we've done it before. Our latest race ever was pretty much a Thanksgiving race. It was a really mild fall, and there was no snowfall or anything, and the track held up. But most years we end in October. Driver interest falls off usually by then, and it's too cold and sometimes too wet. But we race for fun, ladies and gentlemen. But we're not amateur. Oh, look at this. The leaders, Chris and Matt, have caught George Sweeting. And what did I tell you about traffic? No passing flag. Out again. Wesley Stevens falling asleep on that thing. And Chris. There it is again, Matt. Got Chris because George Sweeting apparently didn't know that there was traffic. There was no passing flag thrown, and Matt has used traffic to take the lead in both features, and Chris is peeved right now. He is pissed because he had that thing wrapped up, but traffic was taking up the race. No fault of George at all. It's the flag person's duty to say, look here, just make some room. That's what the passing flag is. You can pick any groove you want, high or low. Just give the guys room to race. Don't take up the middle of the track. And Galletta at least. Different tracks, it means different things. Some tracks, it means stay low. Some tracks, it means just surrender. We don't want you to surrender either. We want you to battle for your positions, but don't hog the track. That's all. Just give lots of room for the leaders to get by. If they can't get by, they can't get by, but they just got to give them room. And many times, Galletta's the high groove is the quick groove. A lot of tracks, low groove is the quick groove. Our track, the high groove is. So if you want to let the leaders take the low groove, make them work for it, go by all means, do it. Now Matt Stevens has the lead again. Chris's blood is boiling here. He had his fingers wrapped over that checkered flag 2 races, and now Matt looks like he might sweep. Nothing is ever settled here at Galletta's. Chris here. Oh, that was a bad restart for Chris. Chris has been known to catch Matt sleeping on restarts before. 2011 Classic, he got Matt on a restart. But not that time. Matt had that one covered. He's already gone. And the zero is slowing down. I think that it's got a slow leak. The drive tire, which is on Galletta carts, is the left rear tire. Does most of the work, does all the work. It's single wheel drive. It's like a motorcycle. The other tires balance and steer. And he's lost ground here. Kevin Galletta and Keith Raymond are trying to get Chris. Chris is having a flat. He's almost driving on, I think, yes, he is driving on the sprocket. Oh, the poor sprocket is taking a beating now but he's holding. He's still in second, but yes, he did. He got second place driving on the sprocket. And Kevin Galletta, Keith Raymond couldn't quite get him, even though he slowed up majorly. George Sweeting, and then Brian Galletta, Adam Lytle, Eric Woolworth, and Melissa Stevens. With those 3, we judged on where they stopped after the crash. Brian was a little ahead of those two, I believe. That's the only wait thing we can do. There's the points. Matt has now closed in on Chris. Keith Raymond. 13 drivers in the 2003 or 2015 season. 2003. That's a while ago. There's your winner, Matt Stevens, and the Gladys Greenhouse number 33, and the Gladys Greenhouse / Crusher.com 74 with his daughter, Lily Beth. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sticking it out with that poor camera angle after the wreck. Next week we should have camera people and or more cameras. We'll see how it goes. These races are run by volunteers. There's no one paid here. Volunteers and driver passion is what runs Gladys. We'll see you next video. And we have over 100 to view online, so see you there.